Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome back to episode 12 of The Sigma Show. Before we get into who's joining me today, real quick, I just want to go over the topics that we will be discussing like we tend to do. First up, we'll be kind of just going over what we've been playing and watching as of late. There's not a ton of video game news as it happens in the beginnings of the year. And we've all kind of just come off of a holiday, so I'm sure people have gotten a little extra time to finally sit down with some stuff that they've wanted to play and watch. So we'll go over that for a bit. Then we'll talk about a recent Bloomberg story that just hit that has a bunch of interesting details about the history of Microsoft. One in particular is that Microsoft offered to buy Nintendo, and Nintendo had a very hilarious reaction to this. And finally, we'll be going over kind of a tangent, I guess, from video game stuff, but you kind of can't ignore it. Twitch, among a bunch of other social media, has permanently banned Donald Trump's channel. And I have a lot of things to say about this, and I'm sure my guests do as well. I'm joined today with Rexicon Jesse.
Howdy.
As well as Ash Redux.
What's up, everybody?
Welcome back to the show, guys. Let's jump right into things. DJ says Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you as well, DJ.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
We're going to start with what we've been playing or watching. You can start in any order you want. We will try to keep it briefer than we tend to do because I know this segment can take long. But in general, does anyone want to go first?
After you.
All right. Well, I'll start off. What I've been playing. I've been playing Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. Let me tell you why this is a big deal for me, gentlemen. My Call of Duty track record started back in the good old year 2009. Modern Warfare 2, that was my first Call of Duty. I got into the game a little late.
That was a good one.
It was a good one to get into, but everybody at that point was already good at Call of Duty. I, myself, was horrific. I was trash, as they would say. My KD was bad. I started, I played Black Ops, got a little bit better. Modern Warfare 3, I got into a nice little stride. Then Black Ops 2, that was like 2012, right? From 2012 until basically 2019 with the reboot of Call of Duty Modern Warfare, that 7-year gap, right? That's where I basically stopped playing. I played a little bit of like the two other Black Ops that came out, 3 and 4, but that was it, okay? Big old gap, 7 years. Got into Modern Warfare because I just saw it graphically. It looked impressive. Looked like it was still something that was more true to the boots on the ground gameplay.
Yeah, that's literally their marketing word that they...
Boots on the ground gameplay. You got to make sure you put that big emphasis. Boots on the ground gameplay. But graphically, it looked really good. It felt like they were actually trying to take their game design and development more seriously. So I was like, okay, let me give it a try. They changed some features, but it was okay. I still thought it was a decently made game, in my opinion. I know why people didn't like the maps, but that's fine. But as I was playing, I was like, man, still not doing too hot. It was more like when I first started kind of getting okay, barely got over a 1.0 KD, okay? So I'm going through that, playing it, had an okay time. Someone got me Black Ops Cold War for Christmas, right? And I was like, oh, okay. Out of all the games I could have gotten, not horrible. I would have preferred other things. But I downloaded that thing onto my PC. My very first game, I did amazing. I was like, that must have been a fluke. Kept going. Right now, I'm sitting at like a 2-point-something average KD out of only 30 games I played so far. I don't know what happened, but I'm a menace in this game. And I run buck wild, and I do not care who's there. And it's been great.
So now you're having a better time because...
I wasn't even this good back in my quote-unquote prime as a teenager in high school on my Xbox 360.
Any theories as to how this turnaround could have come about?
Kiba says it's because I've been playing a lot more chess. I'm like, that's the only difference I have. After my wife was like, oh, I really want to just get good at chess. And I've been doing all right in that. That's the other thing I've been playing is chess. I'm on chess.com. Find me at Ash Redux if you want to play a game. I will destroy you. I might not. I do okay. I do okay. My rank is like 1,000 something. I'm doing all right. But that's literally the only thing that's changed. Like, like when you're playing a game, especially something that's like a shooter, and you're like, oh man, I know what I'm supposed to do at that moment. I know like what the better players would do at that time, but you just don't do it.
My old
You
man
just don't
hands.
do it. Yeah. For whatever reason, in Cold War, I'm over here, I'm sliding out of cover, I'm getting out of the way, I'm reloading when I'm supposed to, I'm using the stim pack to heal myself, and I'm like, everything's just clicking. I'm like, who is playing this? Because it's not me. I'm literally doing everything I usually think, oh, I should have did this. I'm literally just doing it.
Nice.
Like, Keeble played with me. He just got it like last week. He's been playing. He's like, dude, this is not you. This is not how I play. I'm like, that's what I'm saying. This is not how I play this game. I'm not that good. I'm not saying I'm like top tier level play, but I'm definitely like way above average now. I'm like upper middle class of society in Call of Duty now. But
When you go on the options menu and find out they got that Mario Kart like stay on the track play and that switch. You're like, oh no, that's why.
You got the bumper rails on.
Yeah,
that's hilarious. And but that's what I've been playing. Chess and Black Ops Cold War, honestly, is what I've been playing right now. Weird combination, but that's what I've been doing.
Nice.
And then for what I've been watching,
Mario says he's killing bots.
hey, you can say whatever you want. I got recorded gameplay. All right, I'm out here. I'm making a whole compilation to make myself look even better than I actually am.
Nice.
But
So
what I've been watching.
Yeah, is there anything you've been watching then?
Yeah, I've been watching what's it called? Well, obviously Attack on Titan season 4. Just because I need to know how it ends. I just need to know how it ends.
I think I'm gonna start over from like season 2 because season 1 ended, I started reading the manga and actually got pretty far, and then kind of fell off because I reached, I guess, how much was out there, and I'm the kind of person who likes to just binge. And so when the show started catching up, I never went back to the manga. And now people are saying, oh, it's so great and it's almost finished. I'm like, oh, you know what? I might as well just go back to the anime now.
Yeah, so at least from my understanding, season 4 is the final season.
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing, yeah.
And I'm just like, wow, it feels like there's like so much more left to happen. But and what I'm seeing like that's going on, and man, do I want to talk about what's going on. I'm like, yo, what? What in the last episode, I'm like, yo, this is about to be intense. This is gonna be great. So I'm not one of the people who think Attack on Titan is like #1 anime. No offense to you if you do, that's fine. I can see why you would feel that way. I just don't think it's like
when I was watching it. So if that's your bag, it makes sense to me.
It makes sense to me. But I'm enjoying that, and then I also just started watching Jujutsu Kaisen.
Yeah, I've been hearing good things about that too.
That one's been getting some hype. I understand why it's been getting some hype. It's a good time. I don't like to overhype anybody for how much I'm enjoying something, except for Black Ops Cold War because I'm great. But otherwise, I don't want to overhype anybody for anything. But I do think it's a worthwhile watch. When as of late, how anime has been taking more almost like a cinematography approach to like what's going on during action scenes. Like when I watch Demon Slayer and I watch how they like really pan slow-mo the camera and like do the angles of spinning around stuff, and it's just like I feel like I'm watching a Marvel movie for a second. I really feel like they've almost incorporated cinematography into an animation, and I think that's a great move to go with anime. And Jujutsu Kaisen has some of those moments during the fight scene where it's like you're watching in the early episodes it felt like when you're watching Cap versus Winter Soldier. And that fight scene and how just marvelously shot that was. That's how it felt for a moment. I'm like, yo, what is going on?
Like a good anime fight scene, like really gets me hype. Like when there are some shows that say that they're all about action and that they're shonen and whatever, but then Blue's favorite phrase for this is that it's all implied action. Like you'll see like a person jump and then you'll see like a flash and then like they're on opposite sides and then that was the fight. Like it was like that was the whole situation. So it's like I love it when they animate like a punch and a block and a kick and a dodge. Like I want to see all of that. Like you
should watch Jujutsu Kaisen.
Yeah, it looks pretty cool. So I'm waiting to pick that up.
I literally found it on TikTok, and the scene I saw was literally two people jumping one guy, and and somebody doing like a funny voice over it, and they're like, "You ain't never seen somebody get jumped like this before. Watch this going." And it was crazy. I was like, "Oh my god, leave him! He's done. He's done. He's done." I'm assuming he's the villain because I saw one of the people who was fighting him. I'm like, he's done. And so he did the whole moment where he's falling to the ground. He's like, "Nope, bang, get back up." Like, yo, chill. But yeah, that's what I'm watching.
Nice. All right, cool. Jesse, did you want to go next? Let us know what you're playing / watching.
I've been playing a bit too much Rogue Company. It came out. Amy was laughing at me because when we played for the Saturday game, she's like, "What do you mean you're already level 3 with her?" Like, she just came out. I was like, I know. For those who don't know, Rogue Company, awesome game. Sigrid, new character that comes out, has a shield. My favorite thing in a game, especially a first-person shooter, is to have shield. So
no, you were doing really good with her the first day we were playing, and you had her out. So like it's really just it's a natural thing for you. Like the shield's like an extension of your being. I feel like.
Yeah, because I have such slow reactions, so it's like I need that moment, or I will just be like, there is a person there. Oh, I'm dead. Like that.
It's like your own buffer window.
Yeah, exactly. I know the internet connection is not the problem; it's me, and I have to find a way around it.
Nice.
And
Shields
having,
help.
yeah, exactly, a portable wall in front of me is super helpful. So been playing that, and then I bought and played and just recently beat it. Castlevania Circle of the Moon on Game Boy Advance. But
Yeah, I was gonna say
playing on
like that.
DS,
That's one of
whatever.
the Game Boy ones, right?
Mhm. It's really fun, except the last boss fight. Dracula is total butts, and I don't like it. And then I was looking up how to beat it, and it was like, just use this summon card. And I was like, I don't have that yet. And I spent like 30 minutes farming it, got it, and realized that's easy mode. Because you just summon a thing to do full screen damage, and you're invincible while that's happening.
Oh.
And you just spam it, because you've got so much MP, you can do that now.
So before this spam move, you're saying like the fight is borderline unbeatable.
Yeah,
like it's just okay. It's like
It's-
unfair.
I mean,
It's annoying, because like, he's an eyeball. He transforms into an eyeball with a bunch of bats around it, and you have a limited amount of time to hit that before he transforms and does like a sweep attack. You just have to dodge. But the way it's set up, it's just tedious. You just it has so much health. It's hard to hit, and you're just gonna be doing it for like freaking an hour and a half.
Oh
This
my
isn't
God.
Monster Hunter. It's not what I signed up for.
This is a
Give me
monster.
that boss
Hunter.
fight.
Oh man.
But
Okay.
before that, yeah, it was real fun.
Nice. Well, good to know because I've technically never played a proper Castlevania game. Like the Metrovania genre is one of my
Yeah.
favorite genres. I've never
never
played a
played
Metroid,
one.
never played a Castlevania.
I've actually never played a Metroid either, and I think this might have been my first Castlevania, to be honest.
Oh, nice.
I'm
Okay.
there with you. Yeah, I'm way more aware of the genre than the actual games it comes from.
Gotcha.
And then my partner and I have been playing Assassin's Creed Odyssey together,
Oh, nice.
which is surprisingly fun. I got it
Yeah.
for free and was like, yeah, we'll play it. Game.
It's a good time.
Yeah, I understand the complaints about it. Like you do have to do some grinding in order to just progress the story. Like, yeah, you do. There is just kind of a lot of dead space between point A and point B, and you have to travel it. And normally that would annoy me more, but playing it with my partner, it's like we get to talk about stuff. We get to remind each other.
Right. It's
story
like
beats,
it
we
takes
say,
the
"What are we
burden
gonna do
of
next?"
the tedium
Yeah.
out because
Yeah.
there's another person killing time with you.
Exactly. I would
Yeah, more people
definitely
usually
score
makes
it.
makes mediocre games more fun.
Absolutely.
There's that game requires a lot of hours too, dude. I don't know how far you're into it. I know people put over 100+ hours, and not even just because they had fun. It's like you need to put that much hours into it. Like,
Yeah, we are what 20 some hours in, and it's
oh
like
god.
it's like, oh yeah, we're level like 17. That's cool. And I'm looking at things that are like, you could do this when you're level 50. Like,
Right. Yeah. And it gets higher.
Oh man, Lampy's in surprise is saying you've never played Metroid Prime. I actually did play the first Metroid Prime. I didn't finish it. I got nowhere near the end of it. Like the
lied to me.
first or second.
You lied.
I really didn't play it for that long. I want to say like the first boss I came across was like this ice monster. I just stopped playing because I didn't find that fight to be fun. And it was a borrowed game anyway, so I'm like, I'm on a time limit. I'm stuck on this thing. I don't feel like I'm gonna get through this. So I was
The
here to have
lies
it
you
back.
tell.
So yeah, I don't really count that as playing Metroid Prime, but I guess. But is that all you've been playing, Jesse? Have you been watching
pretty
any
much
shows?
that's all I've been playing.
Any shows, cartoons,
Oh.
animes?
We've been watching Star Trek DS9 again.
This is a
good.
rewatch.
This is like we watched it like a year ago, the whole thing. And we were like, yeah, we need to watch some other stuff now. And then we were like, but we could watch this again, right? Like, it's real good. So that show's too good.
I don't know. I've never connected with Star Trek. Like every time I've seen it, because it used to play all the time. Like all the different Star Treks would play as in syndication. I'd like sit for like maybe a couple minutes of it and be like, oh, is there anything that's cool that's going on? Because I know what Star Trek is. If people love Star Trek, and then I would just be super bored. Like it seemed like a political thriller, and I was like a child, so so I did not care.
may not enjoy it as much as a child because there is so much subtext and like, man, they're just, especially DS9 is packed with so much like character drama and politics and things that like you can really dig into.
So,
Um,
would you recommend for someone who doesn't watch Star Trek to start with a show like Deep Space Nine, or is there
uh,
like a better starting point to be like, this is why Star Trek is popular?
that depends on the kind of Star Trek you like.
Well,
So
I don't
like,
know what kind of, because all the movies I've
yeah,
seen so far I've not liked. Other than the J.J. Abrams movie, I thought that first movie was actually
okay.
really good, and I know the fans kind of didn't, but I really liked
Yeah.
it.
I'm not sure that's like any of the shows that I'm aware of. Although I haven't seen Enterprise or Discovery yet, so
Mm.
but still probably not. But I don't know. I wouldn't say based on Star Trek. I would say like, do you like uh it's like sci-fi political thriller? If that sounds cool, then DS9. If you like
Sort of.
sci-fi monster of the week, then something like Voyager or Next Generation is more, or the original series is more of what you want.
Okay.
I don't really like Monster of the Week format that much. So
Yeah,
I
I'm not a big
yeah,
fan of that either.
yeah, because DS9 again, like what was it like 20 years ago, and had like solid character development through episodes and like season-long arcs, which was almost unheard of in that time in television.
Okay.
Like that's how
You're kind of selling
television
me.
is shot now, not 20 years ago when this came out.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Question. I think I understand, but I've actually never heard the terminology monster of the week. What does that mean exactly? To make sure I got it.
So every episode is there's a new unique problem that has to be solved. So this week, people are getting torn apart. Looks like a werewolf. Whole episode's about werewolf. Next week, people are getting haunted by a ghost. Ghost.
So
Gotcha.
think like
That's
Buffy the
Monster of the Week.
Vampire Slayer, Supernatural.
I honestly think of any old Cartoon Network cartoon I watched growing up as a kid, too. Just like
Yeah.
there's always something like they're never talking about what happened last week.
Right,
It's
yeah,
always
like-
something new.
That term is called episodic, I think, versus serialized. Like serialized
Gotcha.
where it's a continuous plot. Like most anime stories are serialized.
Yeah, gotta have arcs.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, and that's what I like. So that's
Okay,
my-
you're actually really selling me now on Deep Space Nine. I might actually check that out. Lampy says Discovery is like the newer movies, so KC might actually like that. Okay.
I need to watch it too. So thanks,
Discovery.
Lampy.
All right. Well, for me, in terms of what I've been playing over the holidays and stuff, I had the time to sit down with Cyberpunk. I played the crap out of that game. I put like, I want to say 50 something, close to 60 hours in. I did all the main side story type things and finished the game. And then I went and read all the alternate endings because I wasn't going to go back and play it again because I really didn't have that great of a time overall. Like, the game is fine. If you ignore all the bugs, all the controversy, all that stuff, it's fine. It doesn't do anything that some other game hasn't already done, and sadly has done. Like, those other games do those things better. Like not to spoil anything, but like there are elements of GTA in there, which is probably plain to see. There are elements of like Bethesda type, like Fallout slash Skyrim style quests and character development. There's Mass Effect 2 type loyalty missions in there with other characters. There's like some Batman Arkham style storytelling, and some of these things are good in the game. Like, it works to its benefit. Like, the strongest thing it has are its characters. Like, there are some really cool characters and some good lines in there, but the main character V, in my opinion, sucks. Like, I played as a female V, and I'm pretty sure the male and female have all the same lines, but like,
Sure.
the delivery was fine. Like, the voice actress was fine, but just everything she was saying like would be either cringy or just wouldn't seem to fit right with the situation. Like, she just seemed at odds with mostly everything that was going on around her, and I almost wish she was more of a silent protagonist that didn't interject all the time, because like she really took me out of it anytime she opened her mouth. So I don't like it was fine, but I kind of like Mario saying 60 hours in and okay game, that's a rough time. Yeah, I kind of regret all the time I spent on it because it really didn't revolutionize anything. I didn't get anything more out of it. And I do know there are some people who probably don't feel that way. They're like, oh, this is a great game if you ignore all the bugs and stuff. Like, I love being immersed in the world stuff because it is a very immersive world. There's a lot happening in that universe. I just think the main character they chose, and the fact that that story revolves around a character. Like, you're not making all the choices. There's a story that happens, and you're kind of just in that character's head as a player. It took me out of the world, because like, if I as the player wanted to experience or look deeper into these aspects of the world that I found interesting, the actual character didn't care enough to go down those roads, so I didn't really get to see that stuff. Like, the biggest example I can think of is with the one gang, the Voodoo Boys they call them, in the Pacifica area. Like, they have a ton of interesting story, and like, they introduce you to like two interesting characters out of that camp. But once that part of the story's over, they kind of don't go back to them at all. And it's because the character V is antagonistic with those people the entire time for no reason. Like, she's just put off by them for some reason, and that's the vibe you have to kind of sit with that whole plot line. And then afterwards, she doesn't go deal with them. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I thought it was kind of rough, but on the flip side,
fair critique. Very fair critique, in my opinion. I also played, so very fair critique.
I haven't played it yet.
But I mean, it might be for you. It wasn't for me overall. Like, it's okay. Like, I would give it like a solid 7. But on the flip side, thanks to Jesse's recommendation, I actually picked up Control, and I actually did finish that. And I want to say like maybe 3-4 days. Like, it's not a super long playthrough, but I really enjoyed it. Like, its world building is super interesting. Like, all that stuff about like altered items and objects of power and all this like power utilitarian nonsense. Like, it's all stupid, but it's like, it's kind of tongue-in-cheek how everything is like categorized and talked about. Like, there's like some scary stuff going on. Like, people are like kind of dying from these things, but it's written in such a funny way. Like, it's so matter of fact that this stuff, like, this crazy stuff is happening, and like, the people who work in this building are so used to it by now that like, their office emails consist of, oh, who had the worst paranormal object they had to bring into the office and stuff like that. Because like, they're like, yeah, comparing and contrasting like their experiences with each other. Like, it was really fun. But I didn't spend too much time with it. Like, I finished it, and like, I kind of beamed through the main plot. There's a lot of side stuff to do, but the side stuff didn't really feel super important. Like, I didn't feel it necessary to like really dig into the side stuff.
Yeah, I felt like most of the side stuff was, for me, was more of a, are you enjoying the gameplay? Well, here's a way to, have more fun with that. But the real story, as far as I played, yeah, was in the meat. Was all in that.
Yeah, you don't get more of the world building in the side stuff. Yeah, it's definitely more mechanic heavy. Like, hey, here's a really tough enemy encounter, and so just play around with the combat and the powers, which are fun, but that wasn't the best part of that game for me. And in terms of what I've been watching, that Showtime show starring Jim Carrey, Kidding. I don't know if you guys know. You haven't heard of it?
Not. Is this new? Has this been out?
Yeah, this has been out for a while. Like, it's got a full 2 seasons out. Think of like Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. Like, if the show followed Mr. Rogers, and Mr. Rogers' like personal life was falling apart behind the scenes of him doing this super popular children's television show.
Oh, I think I did hear about this when they first came out, but continue, please.
Yeah, good. It's really good. Like, I had a feeling it would be good because Jim Carrey was at the helm and he was getting to do a serious role, and like, he doesn't get those opportunities too often, but whenever he does, I feel like he's really surprisingly good. Not even surprisingly anymore. Like, he's a really good actor. Period.
Yeah, Jim Carrey is a good actor.
So, yeah, I got sucked into the show immediately. Like, me and my girlfriend are already on season 2, and it kind of keeps getting wilder in terms of like you think that certain things that are happening in the show aren't real, because there's a level of surreality that happens from scene to scene. Like, he's going through like a breakdown because of like the things that are happening in his life. So certain things you're like, oh, is this happening? And it turns out like it's so far-fetched, like, that can't be real. But no, the plot keeps going. That really happened, and now they're dealing with like the wildness of the situation. So I'm really enjoying it. I think if you haven't been up on it, definitely check it out, because eventually I think it's gonna it might blow up and be like, oh, you should be watching Kidding. Like it's gonna win some stuff, I think, if it hasn't
Where do
already.
you where do you watch it on? Do you watch it on a streaming service or?
Yeah, it's on like Showtime's streaming services. I know that's like an
Oh,
extra thing. Yeah,
Showtime. Gotcha.
but I'm sure there's some way to get access to that. I don't.
I don't have a Fire Stick with things done to
Oh,
it.
we're not talking about illegally
No.
streaming things. Like who would do
What?
such a thing? No, of course
Crazy.
not. But it is a Showtime show, so keep that in mind if you are interested. But that's pretty much it for what I've been playing / watching. I don't think we did too bad in terms of time. Like first 30 minutes, fair.
Fair.
Real
And you
quick, let me just
sold
go
me
over
on
chat.
Kidding, so I have to find a way to
Yeah,
watch
watch
that.
it. It's really good. DJ says, Casey just made me sad with that review. I love the tabletop Cyberpunk so much, and to have the game be only okay would suck. I mean, if you are interested in that world, I say try it. Like, I'm probably a much harsher critic on that sort of thing than most people. Like, I wasn't super big on Witcher 3. I played like the first couple hours and was like, these missions are fun, but I don't care about the gameplay as much. That's kind of how I felt about Cyberpunk. Like, the gameplay didn't wow me. The story was a lot better than the gameplay, but the story itself also wasn't like wowing me. So to me, it was okay. But you might
Can
feel
I
different.
throw in something real quick? I promise it actually is quick.
Mhm.
I'm hoping that what they do with, because even if you personally, if you didn't like Witcher 3 or anything, Witcher 3 was definitely like really good in comparison to like all three games in the trilogy so far. So I'm hoping that nobody really talks about the first Witcher game. Most people talk about the second one and the
That's a
third
really
one.
good
So I'm
point.
hoping that Cyberpunk 2077 for the fans of Witcher does the same thing for Cyberpunk 2077 fans, where it's like whatever they do next with that world will be
Yeah.
like, okay, we especially after what happened with this game, even just like on the actual technical side of the game, but just like with the world and gameplay and stuff. I hope that for the second one they can like try to realize more on like what they're looking at for a further outlook. If they make it, they might not even touch this
Yeah,
name
like
anymore.
they kind of scorched the
potentially.
earth with the release of the first one. So, but yeah, that's a really good point. I had that thought as well. Like, yeah, if they do get to make a sequel, this is a good first attempt at this new world, like new perspective. Like they hadn't made a first person game before. This was a good first attempt. So yeah, if they do like Mario said, Cyberpunk 2078 or something, then yeah, that could actually end up being like the big thing that we all wanted the first one to be or thought it would be. So
Right.
I'd be interested to see them make that. They just have to, actually finish it that time.
Yeah,
But
that's all.
but we're gonna move on into our next topic. Bloomberg released a very long story about kind of just the history of Xbox. They talked to a bunch of people who were part of the company and engineers, executives, and just got their perspective on like the process of it becoming an idea, and then it becoming the brand that it is today and being one of the three pillars, I guess, of hardware manufacturers. And in the middle of that story is a really funny tidbit of how they initially approached Nintendo and said, basically told them, like, this is in the statement, you guys are great with the software stuff. Your hardware kind of sucks. Let us do the hardware stuff. You guys do the software stuff. And, and that'll be how we move forward. And Nintendo apparently laughed these guys out of the room. Like, they laughed the entire meeting at the prospect of basically selling themselves to Microsoft and having them make the hardware for them. I think this is hilarious. What were you guys' take when you heard this story?
It sounds so much like something Microsoft would do. Just be like, yeah, we'll buy you. We got money. Like,
I mean, they still do it today.
yeah, it's just like, I totally believe that. Wow. That seems like a dumb move.
What about you, Ash?
So like, all right, I've actually heard people say in the past that they wish Nintendo would stop making hardware and just be like just developers for games and stuff, and just put all their attention to first party titles and what have you or whatever. But I'm like, I feel like they're missing that a lot of Nintendo's charm comes from how they make the hardware in a different way than most people do, and then make games that take advantage of that said hardware. So like,
Right.
remember when we got this thing, this little light bar here and this touchpad that we don't use anymore for anything.
Yeah.
Like Infamous Second Son, it's like, oh yeah, you can spray paint and all that stuff. They tried to incorporate, but I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it since then. I don't use this. Doesn't exist. I don't even know why this is all here. Okay, so that's one of Nintendo's charms. Two, I'm pretty sure like even if net worth may not be as high, I'm pretty sure that Nintendo is like one of the most liquidated. I mean, one of the most liquid of the three companies when it comes to like actual just cash on hand. Nintendo doesn't have much debt in comparison to
You're right, yeah.
the other companies too. So they just like when it comes to like, oh, you look at their bank account, that money of their network is actually just in there. They actually have that ready. This is their money. So they don't have a need to be bought out for anything either. Like even when I remember when with the Wii U and they're like, oh man, look at all the money Nintendo's losing. I'm like, they still got plenty just sitting back there.
The Wii
They're
kind of
fine.
secured them for a long time after.
They're fine.
But I will say
so-
back just before the Xbox.
right,
launched,
because this is when
this was
Xbox wanted
Nintendo
to-
coming off of N64, right? So I think they were actually losing to Sony at the time. So the perception, I guess, from the outside definitely could have been, oh well, we can actually scoop them up because they're having a rough go of it versus Sony. Because that was Microsoft's whole ploy, I think. They're like,
Yeah.
Sony is taking over the living rooms. If Nintendo wants to beat Sony and we want to beat Sony, then we should work together. And it's funny how like that mindset still kind of exists to this day. Like they kind of took it all the way up until the present day. But on the flip side of this, as dumb as it sounds that Microsoft could have bought Nintendo forever ago, I don't think it would have been the worst idea. Because even though Microsoft is a big, burly American company, they do make good hardware and they do have good infrastructure and internet capability and stuff like that. These are things that Nintendo does suck at. Like, yes, they get innovative. They basically go left away from power and advanced tech, and they go into novelty territory. And yes, you get unique experiences and whatnot. But what really would have stopped them from continuing to do that stuff and then just pitch to Microsoft, say, hey, make us something that can do this, make us something that can do that. But then you would also get, the financial backing, the power backing, the internet infrastructure. And then Nintendo would just have to worry about making the games, which they honestly do best. Like, I don't think it would be an awful idea, is all I'm saying.
I think we would have missed out on a lot of what Nintendo has done from like GameCube till now, if that had been the case. If you're saying like around the N64 days, so we wouldn't have. On that, okay, maybe their hardware would have been a little better, but like, would Microsoft have put in the scratch for Nintendo to make the Wii? That absolute left field, out of nowhere,
Yeah, probably
nowhere
not.
near as powerful as the PlayStation 3, but dominated because of what it was, and because they leaned so hard into it and made something that was really fun.
That's true.
that casual market came in real hard. They
Yeah.
loved it.
Right.
And that if they did that again, Nintendo, like the Switch, again, way less powerful than the PlayStation 4, probably even, let alone the 5 and the Xbox, whatever, Series X. I forget all the new names. So like they probably would have been pushing them to make that Sony comparison console as opposed to what they're actually making. So like we wouldn't have the Switch.
But I mean,
even though Microsoft really wants to have the Switch, they would love that for Game Pass.
they
right
would
now.
love it too.
Now.
Ooh,
Yeah.
they eat that up if they had the Switch. They'd be so excited.
I
They want it
just gotta
now,
wonder.
that after it's proven its success as a lower powered console.
But I mean, I feel like Nintendo is they're low-key kind of a pompous company. Like
They are. They're Apple.
when they were
No
on
offense to
top,
anybody.
when they were leading the industry, like they wanted everyone to basically do what they wanted them to do. Once they weren't on top anymore, they lost in that hardware category, and then they basically went like, we're not going to play this game anymore. Like, I feel like a partnership with Microsoft would have allowed them to continue to play that game, and that alternate future where that happened, I mean, maybe we wouldn't have got a Wii. I'm not so sure that's the worst thing that could happen. The Wii was actually the first console I ever sold back to
Ooh.
a GameStop because like
Oh my.
after I played the first couple of games, I just stopped. Like it was for that larger casual blue ocean strategy audience. It really wasn't for people who legit play a bunch of video games because like there was nothing on it that I wanted to play for a really long time. So I sold it.
A lot of developers didn't want to, even when the Wii started getting popular, still didn't want to make third-party games
Right,
on
because
Wii
they didn't
hardware.
sell.
Still,
The stuff that sold was all like the stupid shovelware they called it, like little mini games, party games, stuff like that. Because the casual audience was eating all that stuff up,
yeah.
and like people who made regular video games couldn't sell their games on the Wii because people were like, I'm not going to play this watered down version on this weaker console. I'm going to play it on the Xbox. I'm going to play it on the PlayStation because they had those options. So I don't know. I think an alternate future where Microsoft and Nintendo teamed up became Microtendo. I don't know. I think that would have been cool.
I'm somewhere in the middle. I'm lightly agree with you. Like I don't think it would have been horrific. I don't think things would have been completely terrible. Honestly, as long as I can still play Legend of Zelda, I honestly don't care. I just want to make sure I can keep playing Legend of Zelda till the day I die. But I'm being serious. That's just what I want to do in my life.
No, I feel you. Like, yeah, Zelda
But-
is one of those games that I would love to keep seeing more of forever.
Right, but it's just like I don't know. I would love to see like if someone could show me the legitimate alternate future of when that happened. Like you said, I don't think it would have been the most horrible thing, but I would like to see how that changes the product that Nintendo put out developer wise anyway. Because at that point, because so much of the game is still working around the uniqueness of the hardware. So I wonder what they would change. Would it just be, it's just the same game, it's just standard mapping on a controller and that's it, it's whatever, or like what would they do different?
Right, like what would controllers look like today? Because who would have been in charge of that? Nintendo's engineers giving Microsoft input, or would it be Microsoft engineers giving Nintendo input? Because everyone eventually started using the Microsoft style of controller. Even Sony stole that case. Like everyone at first was copying Nintendo, and now, so I really don't think they're that different in terms of like their innovations and contributions. So I don't know. Like you're saying, it would be a fascinating alternate universe to explore for me.
If that became a Netflix series, I'd watch it. I don't care who would make it. I just watch, like, I need to see whoever made this up, what their thoughts are, and just watch it. It wouldn't matter.
Lampy has a couple of comments here. It says, if Microsoft had bought them, we'd be on the Wii 4 because Nintendo wouldn't be allowed to change what they were doing and Microsoft would want to milk it.
I wouldn't mind a Wii 4.
I mean, is the Switch not kind of like a Wii 4? I mean, you still have the Joy-Cons. And technically, the Joy-Cons are like better Wii remotes, right? It's like Wii Remote Plus with HD Rumble. It's just smaller. You know what I'm saying? It's portable. The Switch is kind of like a Wii 4.
What was the Wii U if not the Wii 2? Was that not literally just another... Like, they used the same name because of how popular that was. If it had worked, I guarantee you the third console would have also been called the Wii something. It just didn't work.
Yeah. So they had to get away from the name.
Yeah, because they burned it by...
Yeah, they did.
And he also says, what's your definition of on top? There's several metrics that would say Nintendo, they're still on top. I don't know.
Hardware-wise, definitely.
Yeah, please let me know what metric you're going by, because I feel like it is PlayStation who is still on top by far. Nintendo had a lot of... Like, they had big sales... But like,
I'm about to say the Switch was on top in sales a lot, even still is in a lot of I forget what the actual chart is called for that metric, but they are on top a lot for sales.
Yeah, but it's like, I don't know, because the way Nintendo released a brand new console kind of in the middle of the current hardware generation, so it's like you're getting all these sales and everyone else's sales have slowed down because everyone already has one of those consoles already. So I don't know, are they comparing it to like the lifetime sales, or they're saying, oh, Nintendo is outselling these guys currently? Like, I'm not sure. Because that's impressive. A lot of PlayStations have been sold. So if Nintendo, like, what was it, like 3-4 years into the console generation, released a Switch and then beat PlayStation sales, that is super impressive. I'm not sure that's what happened, though. But either way,
I mean, it beat Xbox One sales, so
yeah, we're not talking about Xbox One. We know everybody beat Xbox One sales. Man, And that's basically what Microsoft did. They copied what Nintendo did. They said, you know what, we're not playing this game anymore, this console sales game. Just buy our service. That's where we're at.
Okay. Yeah, I mean PS4 still, but it's like half. It's like Switch is like half of PS4 total sales with
I mean,
less time.
Yeah, it's
So
impressive,
that's not-
but
it's
yeah,
not-
they
it's still
came
impressive.
out much later. So I don't know. Like, yes, Nintendo's impressive. They're still a force to be reckoned with in the industry, but
Absolutely.
their hardware still sucks. Their internet infrastructure still sucks. Like, in the grand scheme of things,
Yeah.
like it's the truth. Don't tell me people aren't on the internet right now clamoring for a Switch Pro. Like, that is all those rumors are flying around because people want a stronger, more powerful Switch. And Nintendo, who knows if they're going to do that or not.
And don't forget how they handle their IP and their branding and stuff, and how that messes with their consumers more than it does good for their own image. Not a good look.
Yeah,
I still love them, but you know, it's just like
Right,
Nintendo.
yeah, like there's definitely some,
chill.
yeah, there's definitely
Chill,
some
Nintendo.
ups and downs the way Nintendo manages its own company. Not to say that Microsoft is at all perfect, but
No,
I don't know. That's a whole other topic, I guess. But
need to
we're
let
going to
Nintendo
move
of
on
America
to our
be cool.
final topic. Mario adds, I've held off buying a Switch because I want a Switch Pro. See, there you go. That's
that
an
it really
example
might
right there of
legit not
someone who's
happen
like-
too. Is the worst part. Like,
Yeah, you don't know
what
yet.
do you do for that?
But we're going to move on to our final topic. If you guys have been under a rock of some sort, you may not have realized that very recently, a couple, like 4 days ago, the Capitol of the United States was apparently attacked by rioters / domestic terrorists who tried to stop the certification of the election. Basically the confirming of there being a new president of the United States. A bunch of people showed up with guns, with explosives, and tried to stop that from taking place. All at the direction of a one Donald Trump, who likes to tell people to do these sorts of things over the internet. And all of these internet providers finally have basically said enough is enough. You're banned. Ban. Twitch banned them. Facebook banned them. Instagram banned them, which is also Facebook. Twitch, which I believe earlier in the year we talked about Donald Trump having a Twitch channel. But apparently it's banned. What is your immediate reaction to Donald Trump not being able to live stream anymore?
I mean, my first reaction was definitely he has a Twitch. Like, I had no idea. Immediately followed by celebration because yes, good call.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, a little late, but sure. Now better than never. Ban good.
Yeah, I've been hearing from pundits on the news and such that, oh, why now? Like, after all this time, why are they cracking down on it now? Like, it's a mix of the insurrection, but also the fact that, okay, he's got less than a week now in the presidency or whatnot. There's not that much he can do to retaliate, because that's a thing
Right.
he does. Like, he'll sign an executive order to, hamper their business and their jobs and whatnot, which is a fair thing to be concerned about if you run a business. Like, I'm not going to fault them for treading lightly when this guy leads the free world. But now they're like saying like, well, you can't hurt us. We're finally going to do something about your nonsense. And they cut his lifeline. What about you, Ash?
So for me, one, yeah, he has a Twitch account. Two for me is regardless of anyone's political views, regardless of what I think about some of the things he's done and some things whether I agree with some of them or not, I've always thought that man should not be on social media, regardless. It's like even for people who are like full 100% Trump supporters, I'm like, how could you want this man to be on social media with the way that he presents himself? It's a lot, everybody. It's a lot. I'm all for, sometimes like giving people the full truth on what you're feeling, because sometimes it's nice to know what the person in charge of my country is honestly thinking. But this man thinks a lot and just puts it out there and doesn't like second guess what he's thinking at all.
I mean, it's worse than kind of just saying what he feels, right? Like he legitimately calls people
for
to
stuff.
action, violent action, with
And
lies,
I'm like, I
mind you.
don't-
Like not like
Right.
oh, we
And I'm
need to
like,
rise up against the oppression of global warming or whatever thing that's like,
Right.
proven by science. Like, he just flat out lies to people and then tells them to act on it. And those people do. Like, it's been proven that those people do act based on the lies he tells. So it makes sense.
And that's the worst part. It's like, at least in the beginning of the presidency, where I could say, okay, maybe he just didn't realize that he has people who support him that will actually do some of the crazy things he puts out. Like, some people will say like, oh man, we need to do this. Come on, that's not working. We need to do this. But nobody was actually going to do anything about it. But
it's all talk, right? Yeah.
So at least in the beginning, I could be like, oh, this man just talking out his butt a little bit. He's a little upset. He's running off at the mouth on social media, because normal people do that every day. But you're the president and you have a bunch of people who will actually do what you're saying. And you know that by now. It's been 4 years.
Yeah,
you know that.
That's the thing.
There's accountability.
Knows.
Yeah, there's accountability at some point. I don't care how this man acts. Eventually there's accountability. So you got to be careful about what you're saying. And I'm like, regardless of if anyone wants to say, oh, he didn't really want people, it doesn't matter. He's accountable for what he's saying at this point. It's been 4 years. He sees what's happened over these 4 years. And he's, instead of worrying about what the country how they might respond, he's over here butthurt about an election. That's the problem, no matter what happens.
And
so, yeah.
to play devil's advocate a little bit, some of the arguments that have pushed back against this action from these companies is this idea of tech companies being in control of censorship. Because people,
which I know is one of the things he said too before.
Right, yeah, it's his own argument as well. But it's a thing that comes up a lot, honestly. Like your First Amendment rights versus being on a privately owned, company's service. Like, to me, it doesn't hold water. But I'm interested to hear like why you guys think that's even an argument in the first place. Why is freedom of speech at risk based on Facebook or Twitter banning your account?
I mean, there's still other outlets you can go to. Obviously, they're not as big, so it's like I mildly get it to an extent. But no matter what, at the end of the day, when it comes to me, in my own opinion, anyway, I remember. I'm not sure if you guys ever saw the guy on who's on YouTube. I forget his name, but he always has the, ABC. This is what I think. Change my mind. He's a change my mind guy on YouTube. I don't know if you ever saw one of his debates. Okay, so he'll go to like college campuses and stuff to talk to people, and he for like 95% of the time I've seen when he talks to people, he doesn't like argue, but he does come with it like facts and things so to like back his argument, right? And he just wants to have a talk and see if people can find some sort of middle ground, common ground, to find ways that we can agree, even if we don't fully agree completely. It's usually for like an actual talk. Now I will be honest, sometimes the way he talks to people, you'll be like, he'll just come back real quick, because he'll say something that's an argument, and he's like, people say all the time, that makes no sense. This is a fact that I can present to you that counteracts that. I can tell he's very blunt about it, but regardless, it's like, excuse me, but one of his things was, America is one of the places where, regardless of what you may think of censorship, at least somewhere legally it says that you are allowed to say what you want to say. Like, it's documented that you can say that in the Constitution, blah, 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 for freedom of speech. So one of his things was hate speech, like the hate crimes or for hate speech and everything, was against freedom of speech. And he was like, don't get me wrong, I don't agree with anything that these people are saying. But his whole argument was, once you start censoring what those people are saying, you will eventually get closer and closer to a line of blurring what freedom of speech is. So that was his argument. And regardless of how I feel, obviously, about hate speech, clearly I don't like hate speech. I'm a double minority, is what I like to call myself. I'm half African American, half Arab American. So it's like, a lot of people don't like either side that I have. So, but I understood what he said. Now, does that mean you let somebody who's, inciting violence on the internet? I feel like that's just an easy cease and desist. We got to stop that, because people will get people riled up, and then things happen. But when it comes to like outright blocking somebody, I guess, I don't know. It's a weird thing in my mind. So I guess I kind of get the argument. for that, but it is privately owned, and that's how we have everything set up in this country. So I mean, it's legal; they can do it. So I have no problem with it. If it's legal, I can't say much. I might agree morally, but if it's legal, I can't say much about it other than trying to change the law in the future. So that's how I feel.
Okay. How about you, Jesse?
I mean, the argument that it's anything to do with the Constitution or the First Amendment is coming from someone who doesn't understand the First Amendment, because
This is true.
True, very true.
Congress shall not make a law so that you can't say. It's about
Right.
the law, not what private companies or public companies, not what other individuals do.
Right. You can still talk on a lot
Yeah.
of different ways. So
So, I mean, that argument is just flat out wrong, because they don't know what they're saying. Yeah, so that, I mean, on that regard, yeah, that's just no.
No,
There's
okay. I mean,
this,
yeah,
that's how
no,
it works.
like you're wrong.
Yeah.
You're wrong.
Yeah, if you want to make a different argument, okay, let's do. But that one, and I hear that very often, and every time it's like, but no, just
You
look
can
into it.
you can still speak, and even online, you still have many other outlets that you can go to still try and say whatever you want to say. You can do. I mean, what was it? For one of the groups of a hate group, the KKK has a newspaper. Like you can still produce any type of thing to say what you want to say.
Mm-hmm.
That and
Yeah, they
it
can't
be
stop you
completely
from
legal.
doing
They
that,
can't stop
yeah.
you from doing that. So I mean, I'm just so it's. I understood like what he was trying to say, but it's not like you said, Jesse. It's just
Yeah,
that's not
it's
how
a fundamental
it is.
lack of understanding on what the First Amendment means. And also,
Right.
if we move away from the legality of it, it's also the root cause of all of this is, as you all know, ignorance. It's people who they don't know. Full stop. They don't know. Right?
Full stop.
Like so when they say these things, they don't even understand that it is bad that they are saying these things, that it's a bad thing they said. They're like, why can they say don't like Black Lives Matter and I can't say all lives matter, or what about blue lives, or what about like
You're
they don't
you're
get
literally
the difference.
protesting a protest. You're protesting a protest. Like what are you saying?
Right, like they're protesting democracy. Like that's what that's called, right? The protest of democracy, that's insurrection. Like they showed up at democracy happening and tried to stop it. Like that was the thing they were against, democracy. And they don't realize that that's insurrection. Like that's bad.
Right.
Like
Watching people with Blue Lives Matters flags attack the police
Attack the
at Capitol
police.
Hill is like,
Yeah.
so blue lives only matter to go against something that you felt was against you, even though it wasn't. It had nothing to do with you. It was
like it's so fundamentally flawed. Like it just shows how little they understand about what they're even upset about. And as much as I want to say, a lot of that confusion comes from, Trump and his, gaggle of politicians underneath him who are telling lies and regurgitating lies and tricking these people. I don't absolve any of those people of the blame, because they listen to these guys because they're saying what they wanted to hear in the first place. It's stuff that they thought. The politicians are their echo chamber. Like the politicians got all that information from those communities. Those communities at some point was like, hey, what are you going to do about all these black people? What are you going to do about all these Mexican people? And then at some point, Trump went, you know what? Let's send them all back to whatever. Let's over police them. That'll solve that problem, right? That'll get you to vote for me. And they said, hell yeah. And so the politicians just kept hammering that nail because it got them the votes that they wanted. And now that everything has come to a head, the consequences, it seems like, are finally showing up. Like these past 4 years have honestly been so dark and so depressing for most of sane America, because a lot of these things that have been happening have gone without consequence. The fact that the president of the United States can just flat out lie and there's no one who can stop him from doing that. The fact that news outlets like Fox News can just flat out lie, regurgitate lies, make up stories and there's no consequence for that. Someone, even if it is social media, even if it is a video game streaming site like Twitch, they're finally saying, get the hell off of our platform with that BS. Because that is the biggest megaphone. Even if they disappear to some third-party underground messaging app, it's not Twitter, it's not Facebook. It's not going to reach the masses in the way that it has been for the last 4 or more years. So I do think this is a good step. It was the right call. It should have happened earlier. I kind of get why they waited this long, but a lot of the damage has already been done. With any,
it is the right call.
Yeah, with any luck, hopefully this and all these other steps going forward can start to repair a lot of the damage, because that's kind of all we can do at this point. Like, other than locking up everybody who showed up at the Capitol, like, please put them all in jail, please.
It's a good step too.
Yes, that is a
very good step.
Great step. But any other thoughts on the whole Trump and the media type thing? I know it's very tangential to video games. I tried to find an excuse to put it in there. I was going to talk about it regardless.
I can fit it in a video game nerd culture real quick. If you
go ahead.
Want me to.
Wrap it up in a neat bow.
I saw a very hilarious. I don't know if I want to call it meme, but just a post. I'll say where it said, "Can you imagine if everybody who was at Capitol Hill was like predominantly African Americans or other minorities? The government would have found a way to call the Avengers there to stop them." And I just thought that was hilarious. And I was talking to Kiba, I was like, what's the worst part is? I'll be honest, if that happened, and as horrible as that would have been to the people there, man, would I have felt some sort of awesome validation knowing that people with superpowers were real. I'd be like, I knew it! There's a way! I can become one! Let's go! There's like, yeah, I can kind of see that, honestly. If the Avengers just showed up and like, wait, they're real! They're real! We got it, guys! But I don't know. I was just like, that was hilarious when I read it.
No,
like, they would have
funny.
found a way to call the Avengers. Like, what?
Mario's asking, what was Trump's username? It was literally just Donald Trump, I think. It was twitch.tv/Donald Trump.
I think he made a new Twitter, too, by the way.
Yeah, they kept banning him. Like, he was trying to tweet from other people's accounts. He tried to tweet from the President of the United States account. They just kept deleting, removing, and banning those accounts. Like, at some point, they're going to have to change over. But for now, yes, just silence that idiot. Like, we all need to, like, I stopped watching news for a very long time. I used to be a very big news watcher, and I stopped for a long time because it was always about something stupid that this guy did. So I just kind of checked out for a while, but hopefully the world can come back to its senses. It seems like this big explosion of frustration from a bunch of dumb people is finally getting a reaction that says this needs to stop. And that is a good first step. I think 2021 is looking up. I don't know about you guys. But that gave me the feeling that, you know what? I think this is about to be done with. Like, I think we finally reached the climax of this situation and we can finally move forward.
Right.
But
that would be awesome. And I'm hoping for that too.
Nice. So once again, I want to thank my guests, Rexicon Jesse and Ash Redux, for coming to the show. Do you guys have anything you want to plug during the week, Jesse?
Oh, yeah. My show on The Escapist, Behind Schedule, where I get to review games I've never played before that are 20 years old or older.
That's a great name.
Thank you.
It is.
That I have a new episode coming out probably this week, but I have one done, so it should be out soonish. And then tomorrow, for all of you interested in tabletop RPG stuff, I have a new all dice table coming out all about deities. So how to make, it's a generator that generates like quest lines for players, generates cryptic omens from deities. So quest lines from deities, cryptic omens from deities. And then we also made a deity generator, so you can create a new one for like spooky cults and stuff. So that's going to come out tomorrow on my itch.io, which is rexiconjesse.itch.io.
Cool.
And it'll be pay whatever you want. So,
nice.
Just want it.
Definitely support this man. He does great work.
Show them some love.
Ash Redux, what do you got coming up this week? Do you want people to check out?
Let's see. Tomorrow, going to be continuing that Tales of Symphonia adventure with Kiba. We're actually very close to that. I've already played the game. He hasn't. I forced this man to play one of my favorite games blind, and I'm just tagging along for the ride since it's multiplayer. So Make sure you're there for the climax, the ending of that beautiful game that I love so much. Later on this week, like I said, I've been playing chess. I'm actually gonna start streaming chess this week.
You know what? That
So if
sounds
anybody wants to-
really interesting. Like I would totally watch you
if
play
you want-
chess.
if you want to watch me play chess, I'll be streaming chess. We're doing we don't live stream our podcast. We're not as advanced as Sigma because he's awesome. But we'll be recording our podcast and we upload it to all the major outlets on Monday. So you go and check that out. That's the Critical Zone podcast. Critical with a K in the middle of the critical. And make sure you go check that out if you get a chance. Me and Kiba, we sometimes have guests. Sigma will hopefully be there next week.
Yeah, I should be on with you guys next week. Yeah.
But yeah, so that's all I got for me. Just make sure you check me out on Twitch. Just Ash Rito. It's the same way it's spelled. But they can see my name, right?
Yeah, it should be above your
It's
head.
above you.
Okay,
Yeah.
right there somewhere. Follow me. Stuff. Twitter, Twitch. Blah blah blah.
Nice.
Oh, yeah,
As for
Twitter,
me,
that's there.
I'll be back on stream at 2:30 p.m. Eastern with Super Smash Sunday. Not sure if Blue or Jeff will be joining me. If not, I may have Starboy come back as a co-host because that's always fun when he's yelling in my ear as I'm trying to play video games or whatever.
Yes.
But other than that, check out our streams on The Escapist. I should be back on with Nick tomorrow for his Editor's Hour stream. And then I'm probably going to be allowed to play Smash for the Tuesday post 3MR because we haven't reviewed anything yet. So, yeah, with any luck, I'll be playing Smash
that's
again
never
on
off.
Tuesday. But that's going to do it for us. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Really appreciate it. Thanks to my two guests. See you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.